just the importance of family in bridging home and school, right? That support model is really important to student success.
I'm Glenn Herbert, and I'm an editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private schools to gain insights into their programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administrators. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
Well, I think number one, first and foremost, is working with the students that I have at my school. They're absolutely amazing. They bring a smile to my face every single day. Also, a close second would be the families that are at the school. They're so supportive, so invested, and just so supportive of our school community and just how it's grown. And then number three would be our teachers and our teaching team and just the excellence that they bring to our school community and their creative ideas and their outside the box thinking and just their passion for teaching and learning. We're 1 through 8. We do have a kindergarten program, and it kind of ebbs and flows depending on the year. So we have that open as an opportunity for parents if we have the enrollment, obviously. The school was really the realization of a dream of my own, right? So I worked in the public education system. I have been an educational consultant across the province of Ontario. And in just working my way across the province and being into different school boards and into different schools, I noticed just some of the gaps in the system. And certainly there's going to be gaps anywhere. We can't close all those gaps, but I wanted to do something about it. So I decided to open my own school. So in 2017, I found this beautiful little space and I took a leap of faith and I started with 5 students and we just a team. It was just a team of 3, actually, 2 teachers, like a teacher in an EA and myself. And we did it. We made it work, and it grew quite quickly. We have over 40 students now closing out this year. It's pretty exciting. What a year it's been. It's been, moving into COVID from last year and then pivoting again this year. Our advantage, I would say, we were probably ahead of the curve a bit just because we already had an online program. We had a self-paced learning program online. So we were already quite well equipped to pivot quite quickly to online learning and really embed some value for our students and our teachers and some good programming and just look at things a little bit differently and still incorporate that hands-on authentic learning that we're really known for. We have COVID-19, right? So we obviously right now we have our health and safety standards that we adhere to from a COVID-19 perspective. But we have had a balanced day. So we start like any typical school day at 8:45. We have our balanced, we have 2 nutrition breaks. And then we end at 3:15. And within that, we teach to the Ontario curriculum. We embed a lot of hands-on activities. We have a wonderful green space. We have a wonderful opportunity to go and walk into the neighborhood. There's some nature trails. There's a Rattray Marsh down the way. And our teachers are very much invested in helping kids to really experience the curriculum. And it's not just about reading it in books. And it's not just about completing a bazillion worksheets and then you're done. It's about really diving into that learning and experiencing it and learning from those experiences. And that's really where it happens and the enjoyment happens. I always say to my parents, students and parents, teachers alike, think about your most enjoyable, one of your best memories of school. Is one of your best memories of school completing a worksheet? Or is it about going on a trip? Or maybe you went on a band trip in high school, or think about that's the learning. That's where the learning happens. It's not filling out a worksheet, right, and handing it in. So that's us. That's what we're about. I would say that the typical student that we have students who are at grade level or above, or they might be approaching grade level, but they're all students who haven't necessarily really clicked with the public education system, right? So they're looking for they're looking for something different. They're looking for that meaningful connection. They might be disengaged, right? Their experiences within the public education system haven't necessarily been as positive as they would have liked. So they're looking for that connection and to reconnect, and that's really where we start. If you go to our website, you'll see that we have coined the phrase "start with heart," and that's really about who I am. You start with heart with people. You start with a relationship. You build that relationship. And once you have that relationship and that trust and that connection, well, that's when the learning can start to happen. Because now you have a student who is ready to learn and prepared to learn and can trust that learning process because they have that supportive person at their side, right? And so that's kind of our kids are everyday kids, right? But they're the kids that really want to experience their learning. Like I said, no, not so much the worksheets, but let's do some project-based learning. Let's do some STEM, right? Let's really engage. Let's use that, outdoor learning space that we have and really dive into the learning by building and creating and problem solving. It's so important in today's society to really, get kids engaged and thinking about how to problem solve and solve those important problems in life. I don't know that we're necessarily there yet in terms of staff turnover because we're still quite young, right? So we're still building and we're responding to the increase in enrollment. So yes, we have new staff coming on board, but that's in response to the increased classes, number of classes and number of students. We've started, I was one of obviously I started, I'm still here. And we've seen some people transition out and we've seen people transition in. But we've set our bar where we want only certified teachers, people with qualifications that specifically speak to what we want to see in our programming and our curriculum as well. Well, an example of someone who lives the values of the school would be somebody who takes the time to make connections, someone who collaborates meaningfully with others, someone who comes from a place of compassion and care and understanding. I think especially this year, we've spoken a lot about it as a staff and as a school, about extending grace to one another and understanding. It's so important. During COVID-19, we've all experienced hardship as a result of the pandemic. And someone who's not afraid of hard work, and someone who's not afraid to say, what, I need a hand, I need some help, right? We live in one world. We're here to help one another, and we're here to support one another. So that's what we try to instill in our students at GlenOak. Similar to how I answered previously, the student that's drawn to our school or the family that's drawn to our school, we're very much a family-oriented school. And we talk about having a GlenOak family, and we talk about, just the importance of family in bridging home and school, right? That support model is really important to student success. So the student that comes to our school is one that is looking for opportunities to dive into their learning, to use their problem solving skills and their hands-on abilities to really demonstrate their learning as well. Doesn't mean that we don't read books. It doesn't mean that we don't do things in writing, but we want to go beyond just pen and paper tasks, right? So that experiential piece is so important to us. I think anybody could excel at our school, to be perfectly honest. Are we a school for students with high special needs? No, but that's because we're just not there yet as a school, right? We're still quite small. We only have 40 students. So we can't cater to all the needs, but if that were to be one thing, I guess that would be it. Whenever anybody comes to visit our school, we haven't had parents in the school this year because of COVID, but now that we're now starting to get back to being able to do in-person tours, and 9 times out of 10, as soon as people walk into the school, the first thing they say is how warm and inviting it is. They feel like they've just gotten a warm, big hug. We're very much a family. We're very connected. We take the time to build personal connections with our families, with our students, amongst the staff. It really is a family at GlenOak. That's who we are. The relationship between parents, teachers, administrators at the school is very collaborative. The open door, I've always had, even when I was in the public system, I've always told my parents, we have an open door policy. So you come in, you need to talk, let's do that. Let's have a phone call, come and sit down in my office, let's have a conversation. Same goes for the teachers. So when you come to GlenOak, it's a team. So you're going to know the principal, you're going to know the teachers, you're going to know the students. We have a wonderful parent community. We have a parent council that meets once a month. And that's where we talk about fundraising, we talk about, enrollment, we talk about marketing, how to just expand the school, right? And collaboratively. Many hands makes light work, right? And everybody has wonderful ideas to share. And that's what it's about. That's how we build community, and that's how we build success. And that's what we do. Well, it's volunteer. So again, I come from the public system. So half my career was spent in the public education system, and every school has a parent council, right? We want to hear the parents' voice. We want to hear what their needs are, because that informs what we do at the school and as educators. So with GlenOak and our parent council, we open it up to anybody, right? So right now, they get a Zoom link every month, and anybody can join, anybody can come in, anybody can contribute their ideas. And then we have a core group of people, and within that core group of people, then we establish committees. So we have, like I mentioned, fundraising or marketing, special events. We'll get back to that eventually after COVID. We'll get to special events, graduation and awards, that kind of stuff. But really, it really aligns with best practices in teaching and learning, right? Involving the parents. This is their school too, right? They're trusting us with their child, so they should have a voice. Any school will have, times where students don't always see eye to eye, right? And we're a school. We're here to support the learning and development of our students. And that includes when they get into conflict and then disagreement. And really where it starts with a conversation. Let's sit down, let's take a deep breath. Kids might need to be walked through how to take a deep breath, count to 10. That's okay. Get them calm. And then it's a conversation, and it's usually mediated by the teacher, sometimes by myself, right? And we don't just talk about the problem, but we talk about how to avoid that problem in the future, right? There's a restorative justice aspect to our problem solving as well, right? And it's all about building understanding and building perspective, so that when the students come to perhaps that's a similar situation in the future, they'll have the tools and strategies they need to navigate independently through it, right? So that's what we do. And it's open, it's collaborative, and sometimes we have to call parents and have a conversation with parents as well. It's not coming from a place of animosity or anger. It's coming from a place of just compassion, care, and building understanding. That's what we do. Well, I said that we start with heart. So this GlenOak person would be a person of compassion and care, a person who's a good communicator, a person who, speaks from the heart and starts from a place of understanding. And is invested in learning more about the world around him or her, right? Around them, and really being actively engaged, right, in the world around them as well, right? Not just kind of looking on and surveying the land, but really just experiencing what the world has to offer. That's GlenOak as a person, I would say. GlenOak and the surrounding part of the city, that's a good question too. And I think it's important also to note that GlenOak isn't just Mississauga. We have actually 2 campuses. So we have our Mississauga site. So in terms of our relationship with the Mississauga area, we're all over typically, right? In non-COVID times, we're, you know, walking down Clarkson Road to, there's a nature trail, and we've called it Nature Way, and we go down Nature Way, and then we're, you know, investigating, doing science experiments, maybe even doing like for Earth Day, we do a pickup. We pick up litter, right, and make sure that our community is clean. We've gone down to Rattray Marsh before, but we're all over the neighborhood. We're going down to the Lorne Park Library, right, to do some research as well, right? We try to make use of our community resources and understand our community and what it has to offer, right? Our philosophy is very much the world is our oyster. So learning doesn't just happen in the 4 walls of a classroom, right? We don't learn only in one spot, right? Learning is a dynamic experience. And so we are looking to the world around us and the community around us to inform our understanding of that world. That's how we understand it. We were really fortunate. I think this was in our second year. We had a personal tour of the city hall, Mississauga City Hall, and met Bonnie Crombie, our mayor. It was really exciting. It was the first time they'd ever taken a school group through. So they were equally excited, gave the kids a pizza party. Kids love that, but it was really a wonderful opportunity to learn more of just the history of Mississauga and just where we've come from and where we're going. But we have a second campus. So we have a program with an Indigenous community up in Sault Ste. Marie. And we do a lot of work with Indigenous communities, and we are expanding that program as well. It's specifically called the Sociocultural and Academic Re-Engagement Program. It's called SOAR, S-O-A-R for short. And we have children who come from the public education system. They may have gaps in their learning, and they're in our SOAR program to just fill those gaps and improve their skills in literacy, numeracy, but also social skills. And there's a cultural component as well. So with that program, you know, they have a strong cultural component to it. It is an Indigenous program, and Indigenous educators come in to support them in that as well. So that's pretty exciting. Inclusivity, I have had parents actually call me interested in the school and say to me, you're an inclusive school, and that is why I called. And my philosophy is, I have a specialist in special education. And I've taught in the regular classroom, I've taught special education programs. GlenOak isn't necessarily a school for students with special needs, but it is an inclusive school, because if you think about it, we don't live in able-bodied world and special education world. We live in one world. We're all in this together, and we have to help one another and support one another. And we have to teach our kids how to do that. Right? How do we teach our kids compassion and care if we exclude them from people who are different from them? Right? We're just perpetuating that difference. Right? We want to perpetuate inclusion. We want to build inclusion. So we have to have kids together to learn from one another. We all have special learning, special needs. We all have something that we want people to keep in mind or to think about when they interact with us, right? So I think we need to change our vision and our framework, and that takes time. You know, I'm not going to change everybody, but when you come to GlenOak, you come to a school that is inclusive, that is loving, is caring, and also, represents best practices in teaching and learning and excellence. And I'm pretty proud of that. I think that you need to make phone calls. You need to really investigate those schools, talk to the principal, talk to the teachers, ask for references too. Ask to hear from other parents and their experiences. We can give a tour, we can show you what we're all about, and that's wonderful, right? But talk to those parents, and they'll help you to understand the culture of the school. They'll help you, they'll give you information on just what their experience has been. I think it's so important to really hear from different people to really inform that picture of the school, for sure. We have actually at GlenOak, typically, under normal circumstances, we have a student ambassador who will take parents around, and the kids are absolutely thrilled to be ambassadors. They typically vie for that role at the school. They're in competition. So we sometimes we have so many that want to be student ambassadors that we have a schedule so that they can follow, but they get so excited. But they are so proud to show off the school. And it's usually a tour that's, don't just investigate the inside of the school, because that's only one aspect of school. Go outside, look around the grounds, right? And ask those questions about, well, what do you do? What do you do out here? And how do you make learning fun? And how do you engage the students, right? How do you get their creativity to come out? And how do you get a student to shine, right? What you see in the classroom is just one aspect of school, right? It's just one little aspect. There's so much to learning. And what kind of field trips do you go on? What do those look like? And where do you go and why, right? Ask why and how. And that will help you to dig deeper into the real, true meaning of that school and the culture.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.